What's up, Airsofters? It's Robo, and we're back with another Robo-Reviews, and on this week, we're going to take a look at my new Airsoft sidearm love of my life, the RWA Nighthawk Custom Recon 1911. Check it out! So here it is, the RWA licensed Nighthawk Custom Recon 1911 gas blowback CO2 pistol, manufactured and sold by Red Wolf Airsoft. So for those of you who do not know Nighthawk Custom, they're a custom manufacturer of 1911 pistols, and were sort of made popular for two reasons. One is making some pretty kick-ass 1911s, and two was attracting the attention and usage of the Beard himself, or aka DaCosta, who used this very pistol in the real world. Now, in terms of my experience with it, I got to run this very pistol at Operation Copperhead, and it was sort of a trial by fire for two reasons. One, I had never used this pistol before, and two, I had never used a 1911 before in a game, so it was kind of interesting. That being said, this pistol performed absolutely flawlessly. I was super impressed. One, as a CO2 pistol, I'd never really used those before, so the kick really surprised me, and two, just, you know, the performance of the pistol itself. It was really well balanced, performed well, no failures whatsoever. So let's get into the nitty-gritty about the pistol itself. Now, the Nighthawk Custom Recon here is a 5-inch 1911 or a full-size 1911, and it comes with front slide serrations as well as a mil-spec 1913 Picatinny rail, a skeletonized hammer, as well as these nifty butt plates for the magazines. Now, those aren't really special, but they're just kind of neat anyways. The magazine holds 17 rounds, plus one in the chamber, but for all intents and purposes, its capacity is 17 rounds in a single stack configuration. Like I said, it's a CO2 powered pistol that in the manual says produces a velocity of 390 feet per second with a 0.2 gram projectile. The Red Wolf Airsoft website says 400 even, and in my experience, directly out of the box with a fresh 12 gram CO2 cartridge, I was getting across 12 shots, no lie, a consistently flat 385 FPS. Now again, as the CO2 cartridge dissipated, the pressure went down and the FPS therefore went down. But that was kind of amazingly consistent to have that over 7 to 12 shots. So consistently, even on terms of muzzle velocity. So I was kind of impressed by that. Now, on that note, in terms of velocity, one of the biggest downsides to a CO2 powered pistol is they tend to shoot hotter than that 350 feet per second sweet spot that everybody wants for indoor. The RATEC NPAS kit for the KSC MP7 to bring down its velocity actually fits in this and will bring down the velocity of this weapon to about a consistent 330 feet per second with a 0.2 gram BB, which again keeps it under that 350 feet per second sweet spot limit for indoor play. So happy news there. I will put the actual item number for that part on the Red Wolf Airsoft site in the description below. So what do I like about this pistol specifically? Well, the boring stuff first, and that is easy hop-up adjustment. Some pistols bury the hop-up adjustment for some reason inside all the working parts of the hop. That's not the case in terms of the Nighthawk Custom here. All you literally have to do is break down the upper and lower like usual, and it's right there for you to adjust. The hop-up adjustment wheel is right there that you can access. You don't have to take anything apart literally. You can just spin it forward or backwards to adjust the hop. Now, the other thing that I really like about this, and again, this is just sort of from my inexperience of never using CO2 pistols really, and that is this thing kicks like an absolute mule. So it actually makes you work on your front sight focus. And for those of you guys who don't use front sight focus, shame on you, you should be using front sight focus. But two, this will make you have to use front sight focus because it really bounces around on you. You know, so if you want to be anywhere accurate with this thing, you got to work on your recoil mitigation in terms of an airsoft pistol anyways, and where your front sight lands. Beyond that, directly out of the box with no adjustments, no upgrades, this pistol was deadly accurate at Operation Copperhead. And the thing is, I can't make this statement enough, and that is, I got more kills at Copperhead with this pistol than I got with any of my pistols all last year combined. Now again, that's more opportunity and methodology more than anything, you know, with a little bit of luck sprinkled in there, but it's still notable. It's still a memory in my head right now that I had such a good time with this pistol at Copperhead because it never really let me down ever in the accuracy department or the you know, the operational department. It never failed. So like with all good things, it has its positives and it obviously has its negatives. I'll say this outright, these negatives are really tiny in terms of my overall experience with this pistol. Again, the positives, just to be clear, are going to far outweigh the negatives here. So the first of those negatives, in my opinion, and now this is a two-pronged problem, I'm used to a thinner pistol grip in terms of the actual grips themselves, because, you know, coming from a Glock or an S&W kind of gun, reaching this mag release gets a little dicey, and that feeds into my first gripe, and that is it's a little sticky in here, you know, so sometimes you have to jiggle it to really get the mag to come out properly. Now again, that's mostly just because of the diameter that I'm reaching around with these grips, and I might actually mod these later, you know, to give them a inset profile so my thumb goes across a little easier. I've seen this done with real 1911 grips. So again, that might be a problem that fixes itself. Now it does help when you have a CO2 cartridge in here, adds a little mass, which really helps it drop. But again, just be aware, it's a little sticky sometimes. Now on par with a sticky mag release, out of the box, if you point the weapon up or in an upward position and release the slide, sometimes the slide's really mushy and slow to return, so you have to kind of knock it back into battery a bit. Now I've gone and fixed that problem in my weapon here, and I'll show you that after we finish the final gripe. That final gripe is the one that more affects me more, and that is the trigger reset. Now, I will say this outright, we're talking about an airsoft pistol here. All the trigger resets kind of suck. There just isn't a lot of money spent on a realistic trigger reset. But I will note that this one's a little bit more noticeable than usual. And what do I mean about the trigger reset? And that is this. When you pull the trigger, weapon goes off. As it cycles, there's a reset of the trigger that happens when you let your finger go. And that is, if you listen really carefully, right there, that click is where you can pull the trigger again. And then again, the weapon would cycle and you would let go the trigger to the reset point. Right there, pull the trigger. But in this trigger, there's a problem. Listen to the sound of the trigger before that reset point. Hear that noise? That second click there was the actual reset. The noise you heard before that was the trigger getting hung up on something. So it's not really a smooth reset for some reason. It's kind of stuck, and then the reset. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on in there too much, but you know, failing me looking in there and actually, you know, shortening springs or filing any of the components down, you know, you just kind of chalk it up to it's an airsoft trigger, big whoop. If you want something perfect, go buy a real firearm kind of thing. But again, it is something to note that you will experience in the use of this pistol. Could it be improved? Probably. Am I going to improve it? Not right now, but maybe in the future. Who knows? But for right now, it's totally fine by me as long as you're aware that it's going to be a little bit sticky to the reset point. So let's go back and talk about what I did to the inside of this weapon in terms of making the action cycle a bit smoother, and that eliminated that kind of mushy slide release problem I talked about earlier. Now these are things that I think every airsofter, if they care about their pistol, you know, or gas blowback item, if they actually care about it, they'll do this because, again, the manufacturing process isn't perfect, and just because it has a coating on one side doesn't mean it has to be everywhere. So I've actually gone and sanded down the inside edges and the track on the inside of the slide, you know, with really fine grit sandpaper, and then I took steel wool to it after to really give it a mirror finish. Now, as you'll see, I've pretty much taken every edge in the lower frame down to a mirror finish. And that is, again, just to improve the movement between the two metal parts as they slide back and forth together. So again, I would recommend anybody with this pistol doing that. It just makes the weapon operate super, super cleanly and sounds super crisp and without any frictional hang-ups there. So again, just mirror finish the insides is pretty much all you have to do. So some final thoughts. Well, I mean, this is going to be pretty big, but I won't lie, this pistol kind of won me over in terms of using a 1911. I think I'm going to use this pretty much most of the year just to change things up. I've been using striker fired polymer framed pistols for such a long time that this little modern take on the classic 1911 design has kind of, as they say, won my heart. As you see, I paired it up with my Inforce APL, which is always an awesome, awesome, awesome illumination option for pistols. Now, this weapon retails for $129 US on the Red Wolf site. So what do you get for that $129? Well, obviously you get a fancy box, which contains the pistol itself, as well as a little demonstration box of BBs, which I promptly gave away because I've got a big bag. And surprisingly, another really important item, and that is this manual here. And why it's important is that it pertains to us Canadian players when it comes to bringing things across the border. Our government is very, very stringent on how fast our weapons shoot in terms of importing them. And the important piece here is that on the back of this manual, it actually states the velocity straight out of the box is 390 FPS with a 0.2 gram BB. And why that's significant to us Canadians is that the limit that we have to bring it up and over is 366 feet per second. So this proves that the weapon can cross the border without any problems. So for those of you who want to try out a modern 1911 design, who want a pistol that kicks like a mule and hits what you shoot it at, definitely check out the Red Wolf Airsoft Nighthawk Custom Recon 1911. As I said, CO2 pistol, shoots 390 FPS with a 0.2 gram BB out of the box, 17 round capacity in a single stack format, and is a joy, an absolute joy to shoot. Costa approved. Now for your accessory buffs, in July there's a new version of this pistol called the Covert Ops that is being released, which will have a threaded extended outer barrel, some custom grips on the pistol grip, as well as a mock suppressor. And for those of you interested in purchasing one of these bad boys, I will include the link below to purchase from redwolfairsoft.com just to make it easier for you. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Red Wolf Airsoft Nighthawk Custom Recon 1911. As I said in the review, if you're looking for a great 1911 platform and definitely a CO2 platform, then this is the weapon for you. As I said, I'll put the link to purchase that sidearm on the Red Wolf site in the description below, just so it's easy for you. Coming down the pipes imminently in terms of reviews to follow up with this one is my long-awaited original SWAT HAWK boot review. That will be dropping within the next week or so as well. Now beyond that, I still have a ton of other reviews to get your way as well. That being my Hairy Hard Soft Shell Jacket by Platatac, my XA 3D Pro Forces 2 boots by Salomon, my Blackwatch optic shields, my Inforce WML weapon light, and the Blue Force Gear Larry Vickers Combat Application Sling. So be on the lookout for those to drop shortly, intermixed with the gameplay footage that's coming out. Now speaking of gameplay footage, there's still a couple more videos from my Copperhead series to come out as well. Now I do want to get those released before I head off to Broken Home, where I'm going to compile a whole ton more new footage for you to check out. So be on the lookout for brand new gameplay. It'll be dropping soon as well. Now, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by my channel and check out my videos. If you could do me a huge solid, as always, like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. Keeps me happening in this YouTube game. And of course, if you liked or didn't like this video, drop me a line in the comments below. I love the conversation. And until next time, guys, Keep having fun playing airsoft, being good community members, and defend what you love. Later, guys.